Welcome to The Dip, the podcast where we discuss our all-time favorite theme park experiences and ask, which attractions would we want to keep us company if we were stranded on a deserted island? Each episode, we invite a new guest onto the show to share the story of their favorite attractions and how it has shaped their relationship with theme parks. We'll delve into theme parks' emotional and personal significance for our guests. Join us as we journey through the deeply personal connections our guests have formed with the hobby and the impact it's had on their lives.
I'm delighted to welcome today's guest to the Dip podcast. One half of the world-famous vlogging duo Parks and Pints, 5K master and William Conker mega fan, Nicole.
Love that.
Continuing the pattern I've formed with my guests, I'll say the usual. We've known each other for a few years and have visited many parks together, but I am interested to see how your answers differ from Abby's. Before we start, I have to say congratulations on 2,000 subscribers.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
For any new listeners, a little explanation. We have 4 sections we'll use to get to know you. Hyper, that's where we start building the island and find out a little bit more about your preferences. Giga, this is where we travel back a bit to dive into your history. Strata, here we do the deepest dive into your relationships with theme parks. And of course, we have to end with a nighttime spectacular. So let's go into Hyper and let's start building your island.
Section 1, Hyper.
We're going to start things off easy. What roller coaster would you like on your island?
Okay. First of all, do you want to explain William the Conqueror fan so I don't look like I'm like historian?
You can explain that one.
Just a quick side story on that. So when we were, was it Drayton Manor Christmas event where we were talking about that? I don't know if anyone remembers the Aldi advert from last Christmas with they had Willie Conquer and it was like a William the Conqueror pun and it was a Christmas conquer man, and my mum was obsessed with the advert. She thought it was really funny, and I was really searching high and low across the country to try and find one and roping in anyone that I could. So that's where that came from. I don't just love William the Conqueror. But yeah, should I jump in with my number one ride?
Yeah.
Okay, cool. So in the past, I've ranked my top 10 on what I think are realistically the best rides that I've been on. And this coaster was my zero for so long, for like 2 years. And then recently, it was actually me and you and Abby that were having this conversation. It was when Hyperia opened and we were trying to rank it in our top 10s. I realised that I was ranking my coasters in, like I said, what I thought was the best coasters instead of what I think are my favourite coasters. So I've had a bit of a reshuffle recently and I've realised that this coaster, despite what other people might think of it, and despite it maybe not being the best most technical, most thrilling coaster in the world, it is my favourite coaster. And I'm putting it at number 1. It's going to be the coaster for my island, and that is Guardians of the Galaxy Cosmic Rewind at Epcot.
Okay.
I love it. I love it so much. I went in completely blind. I had no idea what it was. And to be honest, I went into the whole of Disney blind with Abby when she randomly invited me a couple of years ago. I'd never been before as an adult. And she said, literally about 2 months before we were going, do you want to come to Disney World with me? I've got a spare bed in my room. It's in 2 months. And I said, yeah, absolutely. I'm there. So I went. And I wasn't a Disney fan. I said to her, I love Universal, I love Florida, but I'm really not bothered about Disney, but I'm up for a good time. I'll come with you. And Abby ruined my life that trip because she has turned me into the Disney adult that I am now. And yeah, I didn't remember much of Epcot as from being a child, and so I didn't know what to expect with Cosmic Rewind. It was obviously new at the time. It was new to Abby as well, and it blew me away. I loved it. Obviously it's not the most thrilling, but that's what I like just feel good. Like I came off it with like goosebumps. I love the onboard audio, and yeah, it's just my favorite ride in the world. We paid to ride it again, and when I went back, I got my boarding group and then I paid to, like, that is a ride that I would literally pay to do because it's so good.
And are you a big fan of the films or just the ride?
No.
Have you even seen them?
Right. So when I first went and I put it as my zero, I'd never seen the films. And then when we were going to Florida last year, I watched it on the plane, the first film, and it was all right. but you know when you're watching something on the plane, you can't really get into it because you're a bit distracted. Maybe if I was in the cinema, I'd have appreciated it more. But no, not even a big fan of the IP. Just think it's a really great coaster. I love the audio. I love the soundtrack to them films, and yeah, I just think it's a great ride. Love it.
Cool. That's good. Completely different to what I expected.
Really?
But yeah, I really enjoy Guardians. As an overall ride, I don't think it's a great coaster, but that's just me.
See, I love it. As I've become older, I've started to realise that maybe I don't love the thrilling rides. Like, I can recognise when a ride's good, and I will never skip a ride for it being too intense, but it's not got the re-ride ability for me. Whereas that, I could ride all day long.
And I guess you're getting different songs
Yeah.
as well. So yeah, you have got that re-rideability.
Mm-hmm.
I guess you could probably, if it's on your island, you can pick the songs.
Love that. If I could put my own on there as well, Bluetooth, that'd be great.
Yeah. Cool. There we go. We'll get that one on your island. So we need to learn a little bit more about Nicole. Would you like to select a card? Okay. What is your happy place?
So, I have two. Can I have two? Can I have
You can have two.
a dream one and a realistic one?
Okay. This is a desert island with a roller coaster on, so it's pretty
Fair.
dream anyway.
Fair. So my recent happy place has been Discovery Cove. I love that place. I'm a bit of a water baby. I love the sea. I love swimming. I love aquariums. I love sharks. I got my friends saved up and got me a shark swim for my birthday a few years ago, and I loved it. So it is a bit of me, and I don't even bother with the dolphin swim. I did it as a child. Don't need to do it again. I really just love, like, with the hustle and bustle of Orlando, just having a rest day. I really value that just time to, like, switch off, chill, and it just feels really, like, exclusive and just a little bit of paradise where there's just, you can just chill. You can get bottomless Coke Zero, hot cookies, amazing food, all the snacks you could ever want. And
is that all included?
All included in your price. Don't get me wrong, it is expensive. It is expensive, but you could posh it and get your breakfast, lunch and dinner there if you wanted to. And you can see, like, little marmoset monkeys and see little otters, and you swim with massive, like, 6-foot stingrays. Like, you're swimming and there's a 6-foot stingray above you and below you. It's amazing. And then they do have a shark swim, but it's an upcharge. But in the stingray pool where there's, like, loads of, it looks like the sea underneath. It's mental how they do it. But when you swim, like, right to the back of it, there's a glass wall where the sharks are. So it does feel like you're in the water with the sharks, which is really cool if you're a bit nervous about swimming with the sharks. So I don't want to pay the upcharge. And it's just really luxurious and lovely.
Oh, so that's the realistic one.
That's my dream.
Oh, that's the dream.
But,
okay.
like, if I could go there all the time, I would.
Okay,
but,
a season pass for it.
Yes, yeah. But my realistic happy place that I could go to whenever I wanted to, realistically, is Blackpool. I'm sure that comes as no surprise. No. But I just love it. I went there as a child. It kind of feels like Blackpool's kind of stopped in time, and it's, like, stayed the same as it always was when I was a kid. And I love that. I love, like, obviously I adore the Pleasure Beach, and I love walking down the seafront, and I love smelling the fish and chips and the donuts and hearing the sea and the arcade. It just is proper feel good, nostalgic vibes, and I love it. I love novelty, me. It's a bit of me.
Yeah, it is a classic British seaside resort.
Yeah.
I'm the same. I grew up going to the place Clacton every summer. So I love a terrible seaside town.
It's the best.
And Blackpool is the king.
It's so good.
Seaside towns.
It is. I just love it. Could go there every weekend and never get bored of it.
Okay, so this island is going to have Guardians of the Galaxy with Blackpool and a shark swim.
The dream.
Okay.
My dream.
That's cool. So you can't just ride rides every day. You're going to need a film to watch while you're stranded. What film has had the biggest impact on your life, and what's its significance?
Okay. So I have, again, I'm going to be really annoying and have two, if that's okay. I have one with a bit of significance and a bit of a story, and one that's just my all-time, bottom line, favourite film, no notes. So that one, my all-time favourite film, if anyone asks, would be School of Rock. It is the best film in the world. I remember going to the cinema, to watch something. I can't remember what it was, but it was when you didn't book in advance and you just turned up on the day. It was sold out and they said, you can watch School of Rock instead. So we did. And oh my God, am I glad I did, because it's the best film in the world. It's mine and my brother's favourite film. We grew up listening to my dad listening to AC/DC and Guns N' Roses and things like that. So we could kind of relate to it a little bit like that. And we've watched it 45,000 times. We know it off by heart and it's our favourite film.
My favourite teenage memory of School of Rock is the on the DVD there was a weird extra which was like a day in the life of Jack Black, but he just played it up completely and it was just insane.
I've never seen that.
It's probably on YouTube. I have to look it out.
I need to see it.
It's him just going for a drive-through and ordering 20 burgers, that kind of thing. And for some reason that's all I remember of the film.
He's amazing. Do you like the film?
It's a great film.
Yeah, I love it.
Great film.
And then my other answer is Haunted Mansion.
Which one?
So the original.
Okay.
I like the remake. I love it. It's great. But the original has that nostalgia for me. And it's got a little bit of a backstory. So I was a very nervous child, very scared of everything. I mean, I'm like that as an adult now, as you know. But when I was a child, I was even worse. Very nervous of everything. But for some reason, I was really drawn to horror. So I was really obsessed with scary things, but I would never watch them. And I knew I would never watch them. So I remember going to my uncle's house and his girlfriend at the time had a big horror DVD collection. Or it might have even been video collection back in them days. Oh. And I remember just spending loads of time just reading through them, knowing full well I would never, ever, ever watch them. But I was obsessed with it. And that's kind of been me growing up as well. I remember going to Rill Seafront and Blackpool and being obsessed with the horror experiences. I would never, ever, ever go in. And I used to, when we drove past, I used to stir into them and try and see as much as I could and be like, I can't believe people are paying money to go into them. And I really wanted to know more. And as I got older and a teenager and early 20s as well, I've become obsessed with watching scare attraction vlogs and Halloween Horror Night vlogs. Again, knowing full well I would never go. But really being fascinated by them and wishing that one day I could do that and be brave enough to do that, but knowing that I wouldn't. And then when they released Haunted Mansion, I was like, get in. This is a Disney film. I know it's for kids, so I'm going to be fine. And I watched it and it had that enough spooky element for me to be like, ooh, this is exciting. But knowing that I was still safe watching it and not going to be terrified and have nightmares. And maybe it did probably cause a couple of nightmares because I was a soft child. But I love it. I really, really enjoy it. And I still love it now. It still entertains me to this day.
That's cool. I think I was similar. I was scared of watching Jack and the Beanstalk because of the giant at school. I had to leave the room at school, I remember, as a kid.
No way.
But for me, in a similar vein, it would have been Casper. Came out around the right time for me. And that was what went, actually, it's okay to watch. It's a children's film.
Yeah. You have that safety net of knowing that it's for kids. Love that.
Cool. So we're going to have to move on to the next section now, the Giga section.
Section 2, Giga.
So we're going to go back in time a little bit. What is your first theme park memory?
Okay, so I've got a couple of early theme park memories, to be honest. I was very fortunate that my parents did love theme parks. I actually texted my mum earlier to say, why did you take us to theme parks as a child? Would you call yourself an enthusiast when you were younger? And she said that her and my dad went on theme park dates when they were going out, and I've got photos of them at Alton Towers, Pleasure Beach, on the old haunted house, and on the log flume at Pleasure Beach, and some other seaside town. I don't know if it was Scarborough, somewhere like that. Or Skegness. They're on some fairground rides anyway from when they were young. And they said that when we were born, they just took us and they took us to Disneyland Paris, and we were lucky enough to go to Florida as well. When I was a young child and when I was an early teenager. But my very first memory was Gulliver's World in Warrington. So I grew up in St. Helens, and that is about a 10-minute drive from Warrington. So I remember going to Gulliver's World Warrington all the time. I remember going, what it felt like every weekend. And when I messaged my mum before, I said, well, did we have an annual pass for Gulliver's? And she was like, no. which is bizarre because I swear we did. I swear we were always there, but I went, I don't know if it was last year or the year before, for the first time as an adult, and you have to take a child with you. So we roped my little cousin into it. And it was so strange going back. It was so nostalgic because I've not been there for like 20 years. And when you're a child and looking through a child's eyes, it feels like the most magical, massive universe ever. And you go as an adult and like, okay, this is really small and not the best ever. But I loved it growing up, and it was nice to go back. And if I had children and lived in the area, I would take them back. I think it's a great little park.
Yeah, we've got by me is the other Gulliver's, Milton Keynes one.
Oh yeah.
I'm too old, so I remember the only time I could go was opening year, because then I was already too old after opening year.
No way.
I've only ever been once, a long, long time ago. I should probably find a child somewhere and go and check it out again.
100%. It shocks me that you've not been back as an adult.
Yeah, no, never been. I drive past it every day. You can see the little castle over the trees.
That's crazy that you've not been back. You need to go.
Yeah.
You need to rob a kid.
We'll find a kid. Cool. So we're going to go back to the island, and we need a dark ride. What's the one you want to ride again and again?
Okay, this one was pretty easy for me. I had a standout one. I love a dark ride. I've realised as I've started to get older, and I realised that maybe the most intense rides are not for me. I've realised maybe I'm a dark ride enthusiast over a coaster one. My favourite type of dark ride is a boat ride. Love river caves is a standout for me, but I'm putting my favourite, the one on my island, is Pirates in Batavia from Europa Park.
I don't know. I guess we're going to sound silly, aren't we, if we
Yeah.
can't say it? But
I think it's Batavia.
Yeah, that sounds right.
Maybe. Have you done it?
No, never been to Europa.
No way.
No.
Oh my God. Well, it's, you know how Europa kind of like ripped Disney off with some of the rides? It's kind of like that. I believe that the original pirate ride burnt down.
Yeah, that wasn't that long ago, was it?
Yeah, so they've rebuilt it. And I suppose it is a bit of a rip-off of Pirates of the Caribbean, but I've only ever done the Florida one. I've never done the Paris one.
Yeah, and the Florida one's not good.
Yeah.
It's probably it's the worst of all the pirates.
I've heard.
I think.
I've heard. When I went to Paris last year, it was shut.
Oh.
But the one in Europa blew my mind. I thought it was amazing. It felt really long. I wasn't expecting much. I was just like, oh, it's a bit of a sit down. I went in and my mind was blown. The queue line's amazing. The ride's long. There's a specific scene, I would say it's about halfway, and it's got like lanterns in it. It's like a little town. And out loud, I was literally like, whoa, this is really cool. And yet at the end, they've got like a little rip off of, is it Captain Jack's at Disney? Which I've never done because I've never been able to get a reservation there. But it's kind of similar to that, but you can just walk up and it's like noodles and curry, which is my favourite food. It was my birthday trip. We sat there, we watched the world go by on the ride, and it was just great. I loved it. I could have sat there all day long. We must have ridden the ride about 5 times in a row, and I don't think I could get bored of it. It was great, just chill vibes.
I think you would love Paris's Pirates.
I need to get back.
It's the best of the classic Pirates, easily. It's such a long ride, so many different scenes. So yeah, I think we need to get back.
I need to go. Look, I've only done the Florida one once because when I went as a kid, I wouldn't do it. Like I told you, I was terrified of my own shadow. So there's no way I was getting on dark queue, going in a dark queue line. There's no way on earth. But I've only done the Florida one once, and me and Abby argued throughout it. So me and Abby have been friends for a long time, and we never argue. Ever, 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 never argue. And you know in Florida, when it's boiling, you're tired, your feet are killing, it's hammering it down with rain, it's too hot, and you're just done. You're just done, yeah. Well, we put out a tweet that was a little bit controversial. It was a bit of a meme, and we were like laughing at it. And as we were getting on the ride, one of us was like, I think we should delete that. And the other one didn't agree. And then we were like bickering on the wire ride, like, well, we're meant to be in the happiest place on earth and you're thinking about a tweet. And we were like bickering about that. And so that's my only experience of the, obviously we got over it very quickly and we've never argued again since. It was literally just because we were both exhausted with the Floridian heat. But yeah, that's my only experience on a Disney one. So I need to get back and re-ride them for sure.
Definitely. Cool. So yeah, that's are we doing 2? Are we carrying on? Have you got another one? Or
no,
is just the one?
Just one for that one.
Okay. So we're going to dig a little deeper and need to select your next card. Okay. What do you think your past self would think of you now?
Oh, that is a deep one.
And you kind of said a bit about the horror stuff already.
Yeah.
So.
Oh, they'd be buzzing with that. They'd be really proud of me for that. It depends what age we're on about younger self. I think that if teenage me looked at me now, would be like, oh no, we're Disney adults. We're a nerd. We wear Crocs all the time. But on a real level, I think I'd be really, really happy with how life's panned out. As I've mentioned, like quite a few times already, I was a really anxious child and a really anxious teenager. I suffered with a lot of mental health issues, especially as an older teenager. I had a hell of a lot of anxiety, as you know me well, and anyone who's met me will know that I'm a very anxious person. I'm quite good at masking it if you've met me for the first time, but for people who know me well, know that I'm a big worrier. I suffer from a lot of panic attacks and things like that. And when I was about like 17, 18, I was really struggling to the point where I didn't leave the house. I was housebound for a good few years and in a pretty low place and a pretty rubbish home situation. And I struggled a lot, and I didn't really plan ahead. I didn't really have like any goals or anything that I really wanted to do, to be honest. And like a lot of my friends went to uni and things. I just dropped out of my job and college and just did nothing, which was pretty rough. But I had some really good friends that got me through that period of time, and I ended up going to uni, and like I've really started to, I think the best thing that I've ever done for my mental health is becoming self-aware. So a lot of the things where I was convinced that I was ill, I was convinced that I was seriously ill physically, and it used to really affect my mental, that I'd just protect that and just not do anything. So I think becoming self-aware and recognizing that the only thing that's stopping me is myself and my own brain has been so life-changing for me. That now, don't get me wrong, I'm still incredibly anxious, but before recording this, I was literally pacing the room, terrified. And so I still am an anxious person who suffers from anxiety, but I've managed it a lot better, and I'll never let it stop me from doing things. And yeah, I'll be worried about it, but I won't let it stop me. And I saw a really lovely Instagram quote recently that I shared on my story that said something along the lines of, your younger self would feel safe with you and know that you would listen, and you've already become the person that you needed. And I think that's really, really lovely. I love that. So yeah, I'm really happy. I'm in a really good place. I've put myself out there, and I'm gone to some amazing places, met some amazing people. I've got some friends that have stuck through me from before and after my worst times. And I've met so many lovely, fab people from putting myself out there and going to parks and pushing myself out my comfort zone. And like, if you'd have told me a few years ago that in 2 weeks, I'd be getting on that plane to the other side of the world with loads of people I've met online. Because even Abby I met online a few years ago, which is wild. And what's amazing about us all doing that trip together in a few weeks is that none of us are from the same place.
No.
None of us are from the same city, which is mental. We've all just got really similar interests, really bad financial responsibilities, and we're all just like, do you know what? Let's do it. Let's go on this trip of a lifetime every year and just do it. And I love that. I really, really, I'm so grateful that I've met so many lovely, like-minded people. It's the best.
That's good. And I think, yeah, you can easily say your past self would be really proud of you.
So proud of me. Yeah. Thank you. That's really nice.
Okay. As Abby mentioned when I spoke with her, you two actually met due to a shared love of live music. Mm-hmm. So I'm presuming music's a massive impact on your life. Mm-hmm. Your island needs a soundtrack. So what's the album that's had a massive impact on you?
I really actually struggle with this one, because if you ask me what's my most listened to album, it would be Meet the Vamps by the Vamps. I'm not going to lie to you, James. But the one that has the most memories attached to it is an Arctic Monkeys album, and it's Tranquility Base Hotel and Casino. Do you like that album?
Yeah.
Oh,
yeah.
right, okay.
I'll go third best. Yeah, third best Arctic Monkeys album.
Fair enough. People either love it or hate it, don't they?
Yeah.
So I actually went to uni in Sheffield. So me and my best friends, Holly and Lucy, and my other best friend Nikki, who used to stay with us a lot, we lived pretty much on Sheffield High Street. We used to go to Leadmill, which is like, for anyone who doesn't know, it's like a live music venue in Sheffield that has a lot of indie club nights. And we had a lot of friends who were in like bands. I worked at a live music venue at the time, and we loved Arctic Monkeys. I'd seen them quite a few times, and it was 2018 that they released that album, which we were living on the high street and we were so excited. And then they released it and we were like, this is not what we're expecting. This is wacky. Yep. And we threw a massive party in our flat and I went all out. Anyone who knows me knows that I will go all out. So we themed it to the party. And you know the album artwork? It's like a hotel on the moon, like a concept
like
for a hotel. Like a
Galactic
motel.
Star Cruiser.
Yes. Yeah. So I built that out of lollipop sticks and it was like the centerpiece and it had like a lamp on it and like I had like Easter eggs we wrote out the whole lyrics to the album and I had Easter eggs all around the flat. So like one of the lyrics are, what do you mean you've never seen Blade Runner? And we had a Blade Runner poster up. We had, one of the songs is called Tight Golden Trunks and someone was wearing little golden like trunks. And there's a lyric that says, I put a taqueria on the roof and we had a giant sign on the roof that just said taqueria. And we just went all out with this. And it's just the best memories ever of and then they announced a tour. We went and seen them. And one of my other favourite bands in the world, the Lemon Twigs, supported. So that was amazing. And they did like a pop-up limited edition shop and an exhibition. And it was all just on our doorstep, which was amazing. And yeah, I just have really fond memories of just being a really careless teenager with loads of like-minded friends and loads of good tunes, which was great.
And I think you're right. It was, I don't want to say it was hated when it came out, but I don't think anyone expected it.
Yeah, it was weird.
Because I'm presuming everyone knows who Arctic Monkeys are, but if you don't, they were kind of, well, one of the lyrics on the album kind of explains on it, is it, I just wanted to be one of the Strokes.
Yeah.
Look at the mess I've made.
Yeah.
Because they were just I'm older, so it was the Strokes came out. The Libertines said, we can do the Strokes better than the Strokes do the Strokes. All the Libertines fans got fed up of no shows, so everyone shifted to Arctic Monkeys. And then they came out with a Space Lounge album.
Weird.
But it's really good.
Yeah. I love all three of those bands, to be fair.
Yeah.
They're all great live. And that album, Tranquility Base, is the only... So I have quite a bit of tattoos. I have like a sleeve, an arm sleeve and a leg sleeve, and I only surprisingly have one musical tattoo, and it is that album. It's on my leg, and it's like because that album's about a hotel in space, and it's like a scene of space with a rocket, and it says "Take it easy for a little while," which is a lyric from that album. Yeah, I just love that album. It's a great album, and also going back to the island, it's one of them albums that I'll put on in the car and belt out. You know, you can really perform that album. So I feel like I couldn't get bored of that. I'd really perform it.
And it's a bit desert islandy feel.
Yeah.
It's quite relaxing. It's nothing too aggressive.
It's not very samey. Like they're all a little bit different. And yeah, you could keep yourself entertained with that one, I reckon.
Cool. Okay, so we're going to go to the strata section.
Section 3, Strata.
It feels like Parks and Pints have been around forever, but you must have started somewhere. At what moment did you first consider yourself a theme park enthusiast?
Okay, so Abby kind of touched on this in her episode, but so to start with, it was like 2019. I was in my last year of uni and I started watching a lot of YouTube, and what I was watching, this is so ironic, I feel like kicking myself, but I was watching a lot of Disney hauls. So I didn't care about Disney parks. I didn't care about Disney films. I didn't care about anything to do with Disney. I was just fascinated by how much money people spent at Disney World. I loved it. And I something about watching it just really entertained me. Like, oh my God, yeah, I'm skint student, but these have just spent £1,000 on pens. Do you know what I mean? So I was watching a lot of them. And then on my For You page was a lot of Disney vlogs, which I started watching. And then randomly in lockdown, I moved home and then it was lockdown. And Abby messaged me saying, 5 Seconds of Summer playing in Paris. Do you want to come there and Disneyland? And I was like, yeah, why not? I'm up for anything. Yeah, that sounds all right. And I said, actually, I've actually been watching a few Disney vlogs. And she was like, no way, so have I. And then we were talking about who we were watching, and we were both mentioned Theme Park Worldwide, which I know some people have compared them to the gateway drug to the community, which is amazing. And I was like, are you watching Restoring the Bookworm? She was like, yeah. So like it got to the point in lockdown where we were like, okay, episode 3 of Restoring the Bookworm is out. And it's like, why are we both who like met through loving like rock and roll and Why are we now watching this man repair a statue from a theme park when neither of us like love theme parks? It was so random. And then from there, we ended up going to Blackpool and things like that. And I joined Alton Towers News and Discussions group on Facebook.
Ooh, I bet that's fun.
Yeah. And then me, my mum and brother, when the restrictions lifted, because they both love theme parks as well, went to Towers. And we stayed at the hotel and I found myself being like, we can go to the theme park entrance. And they were like, what? And I was like, this secret entrance around here, we can go there. And then like being near Jill and being like, do you know what that hole's for? That's where he kept the bird. And I was like, oh my God, what have I become? I've really become a nerd. And that's when I thought like, maybe I am really into this. Maybe I'm enjoying knowing all these like weird and wonderful facts. And I think when in lockdown as well, when you've been inside for so long and like getting out and doing things where you're like, no, this is really fun. I'm really enjoying this. It's a bit of me. You become, I think this is kind of going back to the younger self one, but you know, when people say you hit 25, your full frontal lobe develops and you stop caring what people think.
Yep.
I think I've really hit that recently where I'm like, I'm not bothered if I'm a big nerd. I really enjoy it and I'm going to do what I enjoy and I don't care what anyone else thinks.
I think that's the best way to be. Like, I was the same as a younger teenager. Yeah, all in on theme parks. And then you hit like 16, 17, you go, oh no, I've got to be cool now.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to pretend I don't like that. And then what lockdown did was basically go, who cares?
Life's too short.
Yeah, do what you want.
Mm-hmm. I love that realization. It's life-changing.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, back to the island. And we need one more ride. Some people call it a ride zero. What ride means the most to you?
So again, I really struggled with this one because, as I said, my ride zero for so long was Cosmic Rewind before realizing that actually shouldn't be zero. It should be my number one. So I don't really have a zero. And I was racking my brains for thinking of one that was sentimental for me. And I just couldn't think of one. So I've got one. I don't think you're going to be very happy about it, James. I'm sorry.
Can I make a guess?
Go on.
Is it Wallace and Gromit?
No.
Oh, okay.
Oh, I thought it had to be a coaster.
No.
Oh, right. Okay, I've gone with a coaster.
Okay.
Do you want another guess?
It's not the big one, is it?
No, but you're going to be angry about it.
It's Icon.
No.
I don't know.
What ride do you hate more than anything in the world?
Oh, Wicker Man.
Yes. Yeah, Wicker Man. And because when you thought of sentimental, I think of like good times and what is a really standout moment for me. And I think one is Towers Times event, so enthusiast event. I don't think it was last year. I think it was the year before.
Yep. So
was that 2022?
It was their 20th anniversary, I think, because it was the big event, wasn't it?
Yes, it was the
with
one.
John Wardley.
The Car Park J one.
Yeah.
Yes. yeah, it was that one.
Yeah.
So it was a really sunny, lovely day. We were all staying over. And I remember the park was nearly closing. We all got changed, went to roller coaster restaurant and had loads of cocktails. We were a little bit merry, I won't lie. And we had an ERT on. You were there, right? Yeah. It was a Wicker Man ERT. And I swear we had it for 30 minutes, but it felt like a lifetime.
Yeah, a lot of people, I think, because there was an evening thing, so a lot of people went back to their rooms and we ended up just constantly on Wicker Man.
It felt like we had that ride for 3 hours. Do you not feel like that?
Yeah.
We were on it over and over again. And what was fab was there was a massive gang of us. There was so many of us. And every time we went on it, we all swapped who we were with. So we must have ridden it what felt like 20 times, all with different people. And everyone was a bit merry. We were laughing our heads off. The sun was shining. We had a party to go to with Mr. John Wardley himself. It just was a core memory.
Yeah, I think it's the first time we all met in a long period of time, if that makes sense. So we'd met here and there at Thorpe and places like that. But that was all day with probably about 20 of us.
It was
again, like you say, from every part of the UK.
Yeah. And like, it's so cool when you see people on Twitter in real life and you can just spend that time with them and just ride your favourite rides with them. It's boss. I love them events for that reason.
Cool. So it's the last chance to pick a card. It can get quite deep now, so I do warn you. Cool. Okay. What is an experience you'd want to live over and over again?
Okay. So I'm actually going to keep this lighthearted while I've already done the deep stuff, if that's okay.
Yeah, that's fine.
So I'm going to go with any Disney dining experience.
Okay.
So I'll tell you the ones that I've done. So I've done Woody's Roundup Rodeo, Space 220, Ohana's, Garden Grill, Sci-Fi Dining, and then my favourite, which is Ogre's Cantina.
Okay. Yeah.
So, like I said, Abby completely turned me into this Disney enthusiast, and she took me for the first time and was like, I've bought this. Are you all right with this? Are you all right with this? And I was like, yep. And she told me some of the prices of some of them, and I was like, what the hell? But every single one of them has been incredible. I genuinely think it's worth, if you can afford to, spending that extra money, because when I think about our Disney experiences, they're massive standouts for me, and especially like Ogre's Cantina, if I just focus on that one for a minute. When you're in that bar, I am not thinking about work. I am not thinking about essential bills, like taxes or any, like you just completely like, I mean, maybe when you see the price of some of the drinks, but you're just in another world. I know Disney's great for like escapism, but when you're in some of them themed dining experiences, it's just, they step it up, and I've never regretted it. I've never thought I really regret spending all that money there. They're my favourite memories, and especially Ogre's, like my favourite drink in the entire world. It was you though, when I was mentioning this
last week. Yeah. I think it was half hour on the drink.
Yeah, we'll talk about this all day long, but there's a specific drink in Ogre's Cantina. It's called a Fuzzy Tauntaun, and it's changed my life. I think about it, honestly, no joke, every single day. It's a bit expensive, but it's a vodka-based drink, and it's got like a foam on the top that makes your whole mouth numb. And then you feel like you're not actually drinking a drink, but it's really strong. It's the most weird sensation. And that right there is the Disney magic for me. Love it. Boss.
That's good. Yeah. Like I've done a few of the Disney dinings, and you're right. It's a different world, especially the ones like Space 2020 and Ogre's particularly, because it's a whole show as well as.
Absolutely. It's an experience.
Like, you forget completely about the price. Prices don't count on holiday anyway. So.
Absolutely. Numbers on a screen.
You worry about that in a few years' time.
What's your favourite Disney dining experience that you've done?
Sana.
Always Sana. Yeah.
Purely for the bread.
I forgot about that.
Everyone says it, but just for the bread.
Yeah.
Do it every time. Have to be done.
Yeah.
Because you can pretend you're staying in the fancy hotel as well.
Love that. Yeah, that's a good one.
Cool. We'll move on to our final section.
The finale.
Every island needs a finale. What nighttime show or spectacular would be perfect to end your day?
I've got two again.
Okay,
I'm
that's
sorry.
fine.
So when you first started this podcast and you did your episode with Bobby, I thought about I don't even know if you'd asked me to be on it at that point, but I thought about my answers, and I had an answer for you. So my answer was Fiesta Ventura at Portaventura. So you've not been to Portaventura?
I've been there, but I haven't seen any shows there.
Oh right, okay. Right, fireworks don't do it for me. I'm not a big fireworks person. I'm not bothered about Alton Towers fireworks. I'm not bothered about Disney fireworks. Like, I will watch them. I wouldn't be like, I'd rather go home. I would rather stand there and watch the fireworks, definitely. But if queues were on zero and I was on my own, or I was with other people who weren't bothered about fireworks, I would pick the rides over the fireworks. But Fiesta Ventura it's nothing groundbreaking, don't get me wrong, but it's like projections on water, and it's physical things, so it's all on water, but it's like good music, and it goes into like each area of Portaventura, so it's themed in sections, and like they have physical props, like I don't know if they're barges or whatever they are, but they're like giant statues on the water, which is really cool. And they do have a bit of fireworks, but it's not like just a fireworks show. And towards the end as well, they have people on them, them water jetpacks, just flying about. I watched the summer one, and me and Abby went at we went on New Year's Eve once, and they had Father Christmas just cutting about on his water jet ski. I just like it. It's just different. I like something to look at rather than just fireworks.
So it sounds a little bit like, I don't know if you ever saw Rivers of Light at Animal Kingdom.
Never seen it.
It's kind of water fountains, projections, and barges. It didn't last long, but I thought it was really good.
Yeah, that sounds really good. I saw the projections on fountains at Horror Nights 2022, and that was good. And I saw, what was the Epcot one that was barges that people didn't like?
The old one, or
2022, I want to say.
The one with the barges that stayed there all day. in the middle of the
Yes,
lake.
yeah.
I can't remember the name of it.
I can't remember the name of
But
it.
people hated on it. But no.
It was all right. I saw that. It was all right. It was okay, but the barges weren't really themed, whereas these barges, I don't even know if they're barges. I don't know what you would call them, but they're like moving boats they have like giant, like, I don't know what you would call them, like Mexican men and like things like that,
Okay.
like coming in, like all to do with the themes
Yeah.
of the different areas. And like, I just like something physical to look at.
That's cool.
So that was my original answer before last year when I went to Disney and I saw for the first time Fantasmic.
Okay. Yep.
And that blew me away. I thought that was amazing. I went in completely blind thinking it was just a normal like fireworks show. And I don't want to spoil it for anyone who's not seen it before, because I think going in spoiler free is the best way to do it, because my mind was blown. But I like seeing the physical characters, and then that ending again on the water, I just think is so magical. It made me cry. I thought it was breathtaking. Loved that.
Yeah, I think it's probably the perfect theme park show
I agree.
for most people, because it's not too, like I say, it's not heavy on fireworks.
Yeah.
But it's got all the Disney songs, you know.
All the
crowd
characters.
gets well into it.
Yeah.
And yeah, some of the stuff that happens is mad.
Yeah. And the fact that you can sit down as well, I appreciate.
Yep, that's good.
That's nice. So we'll have that.
Okay. You can have both, I think.
Oh,
I think
thanks.
That's fine. Cool. So just to recap your island, what have we got? We've got Guardians of the Galaxy, Cosmic Rewind with custom soundtrack. We've got Pirates of Somewhere from Europa.
Batavia? Yeah.
We've got, what else have we got? And Your Ride Zero, which was
Wicker Man?
Wicker Man. Oh well, it can't all be great islands. No, it's good. It's a good setup, and then end your day with 2 shows.
The dream. Honestly, I would pay on every money that I have in my bank account, which I granted ain't a lot, to go to that island right now. The dream.
Cool. Well, thank you so much for taking the time to speak with us. Where can listeners find you online?
And so you can find us at Parks and Pints on YouTube and TikTok. Just type in Parks and Pints. Instagram, X, is that what the cool kids
Still
call
Twitter.
it?
Still Twitter.
Yeah, all social media apps, Parks and Pints. Thank you so much for having me. I've really enjoyed it.
Thank you. Goodbye.
Bye.
That was Desert Island Parks. Thank you for listening, and a massive thank you to our guest. Please remember to subscribe, leave us a review, and follow us on all social media at The Dip Podcast.